From attic to basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor. 500 help.
Taylor Heating and Plumbing. Taylor 500 Help is the number you need to call if you're having water heater issues, or if you need a brand new air conditioning, or if you need a new duct system, you have a drafty house, they do insulation. Tailor-made service is customized to fit your needs. Air conditioning, heating, plumbing, home energy, comprehensive maintenance plans. And if something goes on the fritz at your house, of course, the first thing to do is call Taylor 500 Help. Don't stress the small repairs, because Taylor has a great financing plan that will work within your budget. So call them if you need anything. And of course, they have the Bradford white water heaters, the water heaters that everyone wants in their home, because they are the best nationwide. Taylor is looking for people to come and work for them. So if you're looking for a job, Taylor is hiring some of the current opportunities: HVAC techs, plumbers, project managers, and office personnel. It's Taylor Heating and Plumbing that installed our air conditioning right here at the home of the We the People podcast. And we love them because it's awful muggy today. Precision Lawn and Garden, North Avenue in Webster. Precision Lawn and Garden has been servicing surrounding Rochester area with professional sales, service, and parts since 1969. They've got everything you need to make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood. I'm talking about chainsaws and blowers and lawnmowers, big and small, and of course, snow blowers. You're going to need them sooner or later, because after all, this is Rochester. They have all the brands that you love: Kawasaki, Cub Cadet, Aaron's, Precision Lawn and Garden. For that big zero turn, lawnmower that you've been wanting, see Kimberly and Justin, and they will set you up. Express Sealers, to seal your driveway, to make it look incredible. Why wouldn't you call Brian? He does the east side only, 645-2010. That's 645-2010. Express Sealers. Please support our advertisers. They support us here at the We the People Podcast Network and Kimberly's Revolution.
Are we on Facebook finally?
I think we are.
Yes.
Welcome back. Live from the We the People podcast studios in muggy, cloudy, 70-degree Irondequoit, New York.
Yes.
As far back as they can remember, they have always wanted to be gangsters.
I'm a gangster.
Here they are. It's Kimberly and Chad.
What's the gangster sign?
West Side?
West Side. West Side. Hello. Ho. West Side. Hey.
What movie is that from, Chad?
Yeah.
Movie quote.
West Side.
Goodfellas.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I always wanted to be one of the guys, a good
Right.
fella. That's right. I am Kimberly. It is Kimberly's Revolution, and my top won't stay down off my shoulders. It's like a shoulder.
Chicka bow wow.
I know. Don't you hate that when you have a shirt that won't stay where it's supposed to stay?
It won't stay on.
Uh-huh.
It won't stay on.
Well, used to be a problem. So yeah, I am
Jesus.
Kimberly of the We the People Podcast Network, Kimberly's Revolution. We are glad that you are joining us. So glad that you are here. And so I am Kimberly. Sitting across from me is attorney, broker, and all-around smart guy. It is Chad Hummel. Who is sitting here.
Allegedly.
Just call me a broke attorney.
I called you a broke attorney. Yeah, I didn't mean to. Does that insult you? Are you triggered by that?
I am triggered.
You are a
for sure.
broker/attorney, because we operate under the guise of Revere Realty, which we all work for. That makes us money. We sell and buy houses, and I can do that under the both of you. Of course, sitting kitty corner from me is just Tom.
That's it.
Just Tom brought the baby in yesterday.
That's all it's necessary.
That baby Sophia is pretty cute.
I was just reading on the internet before we started whether or not men can have babies.
Well,
And the internet says yes. So
Well,
They can.
it doesn't surprise me
Well,
that
the
Tom brought his
internet
baby in yesterday.
I've had a baby before.
Internet doesn't even know what a woman is, so you can't really believe everything you read on the internets, as they say. And of course, sitting down at the end of the table, as always, is our premier producer, because he can do things that on the fly like no one else can. It is our producer, Austin. He is here.
Hello.
There he is, as always. Thumbs up. Thank you very much.
He can keep his
He's the guy.
thumbs suspended in there permanently. That's
And
what he
if
can
you're
do.
thinking about doing a podcast, you want to make sure that you give us a call. We can set you up here, and so can Fitz at Rockvox Productions. That's ROCVOX Productions. He is the guy that made all this happen. And so he's over there in Bushnell's Basin. You can find him on the internets, as we just said. That you can believe ROCVOX Productions, Rock Fox Productions. All right. Before we get started in today's show, which is appropriately named More Interesting to Me, and you'll see why I named it that here in just a second. But I wanted to kind of go back and give a little update on last Tuesday's show that is titled Media Whore. Got a lot of feedback on the show we titled Media Whore.
Did we get letters?
We got a couple of letters. Some people commented on YouTube, and some people commented on YouTube that they don't like me, which, okay, that's okay.
Shocker.
They don't like me, but they wondered why I didn't get into the more of, the person in the media that's having all these, multiple indiscretions while he's been married multiple times, the indiscretions going on while he was married all 3 times. And they wondered why I didn't get into and slam me more for his moral daily rhetoric on the air.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah, the hypocrisy of it all. And, it was really about hearing the ladies' stories about what this man did and how it made them feel. It wasn't really so much about his radio show. It was, or what he says on his radio show or whatever. It was more about what he did to make these women feel afraid and victimized, really. And so I wanted to hear their stories. It wasn't a show so you guys could hear my take on what I think. I think you guys know what I think. I mean, it is hypocrisy every single day. And that's why
It kind of speaks for itself at this point.
that's why I decided to do it. I finally, when he demanded an apology from Jose Pio for not even saying
He demanded an apology
from a guy who didn't do anything wrong.
on behalf of somebody else.
Yes.
From a person to give the apology on behalf of somebody else.
Yes,
It's
yes.
the most bizarre situation.
It enraged me.
Yeah.
That is the reason that I decided to reach out again, because I'd had multiple contact with the 3 women that were on the show last Tuesday. And I reached out to them and said, I can't even, I'm done. I can't stand the hypocrisy. I can't stand, the moral judgments every day on the air that he throws out to people, and he can skate unscathed. It infuriates me, and it shouldn't be that way. But unfortunately, it's the world we live in, because yet no major media source besides our podcast, Kimberly's Revolution, on the We the People Podcast Network, has picked up about this man's tawdry lifestyle while he's on the air laying his moral rhetoric on anyone who'll listen for ratings. It's disgusting.
Well, you touched on an interesting point there, because obviously Lonsberry has been attacked by the media.
Who?
Loonsberry.
Sorry, I mispronounced his name. I mean, he's had his share of suspensions, so to speak, over the years. He's had to go away,
Sure.
and so on and so forth.
Well,
So
I mean, who hasn't in radio that, if you're worth your salt in radio, you've gotten in trouble before.
for much less things, it would seem.
Right,
I guess it's all relative and
Yeah.
subjective to what individuals' tolerances are. But why on this topic, which is so pervasive and it's gone on for so long, and there's so many stories coming out, why on this particular topic
Mhm.
is he getting a free pass?
I'm not real sure.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
I mean,
does it?
because in the scheme of things at work, I don't know. It is predator style behavior, because again, he chased all these women. He did the chasing. He did the pursuing. He did all of this. They didn't chase him. He reached out and began the relationship with these women. So I want to read this email that I received, and then we'll go on and do the rest of Kimberly's Revolution. This is from someone in Utah, and they said, "Hey, Kimberly, I wanted to corroborate your guests that you had on your show July 5th, the podcast titled Media Whore. I had met the man in question many years ago in Utah. He was significantly older than I was, and he was at the end of his divorce proceedings with his first wife. He was extremely charming and attentive. We had a few dates, and he wanted me to come to New York. I agreed, and went. Since we were just a few weeks into the relationship, I did not want to meet his children. This would be his grown children from his first marriage. He was still technically married, and I thought that was a big step that we were in no way ready to make. He wanted to get married almost immediately. Obviously, we did not. But when I made that the comment that it was far too soon, he changed immediately. He was always extremely sexually inappropriate, and there are so many issues with that. I would not be surprised if he had, she goes on to say psychological issues, but we don't know that, and that can't be verified because none of us are psychiatrists, so we don't know. On our last meeting, he threw me out of his room, and when I opened the door to go, there were plates of cookies and stuffed animals all left at his door from fans. I do not follow or care about what he does now. I happened to see some things on Facebook since I'm still in Utah, and I found the blog, and I was honestly shocked that those women's experiences were identical nearly 25 years later to mine. He is a manipulative narcissist, and he really does hate women. He has made racial comments in my presence, believes in polygamy, and wanted to leave me with a child to remember him by.
Wow.
Again, this is just an email. We don't know these things to be true. This is her story of a woman in Utah. I truly find him disgusting and think it's insane that his show is used mainly to pick up women that he in return privately seems to hate. A few years after his current remarriage, and I'm going to say allegedly because I do not know this to be true. I have no idea if this is true. So I will read you what she told me. I was emailed a very long list of women. She was on an email, you know how they send out emails all in, one cluster, right? An email chain. I was emailed with a very long list of women that were on the send list from his current wife. The email begged us to leave him alone, not speak with him. As she said, she did not want to have to put their first son in daycare. It was bizarre. But I will say this. There is no way that his wife is unaware of this situation. I wish I had kept the email. If I remember correctly, it was vaguely threatening to expose some of us. This was 4 children ago. She made a choice. Thank you for taking the time to read this. There are more instances I can expound on, but I've not even told my husband the majority of this. It was so embarrassing. As dumb as I felt 25 years ago, cannot compare with how dumb his wife must feel daily. And I thought that was pretty astounding.
Wow.
And I will tell her, you're not dumb. We all fall for guys like that, women like that, things like that, people like that in our life. You're not dumb. We learn from our mistakes in this life, right? We make these mistakes so that we don't make the same mistake the next go around, which seems like she's had a husband for a very long time and she did not make that same mistake. But I just wanted to put that out there as just kind of something that someone saw in Utah and took the time to write me the email. I cannot say that the things in the email that she says are true. It's just her story, just like the other 3 women that I had on last Tuesday. So there's the update on Media Whore.
Did you respond to her?
I have not, because I literally just got it as I was coming here to do the show today, which is titled More Interesting to Me.
Okay.
Right?
And now the news.
And now, so
And
I
now the
was,
news.
I
I
have
thought
to,
that was my segment.
I have to tell a funny story. So I'm going down to South Carolina. I was going down to South Carolina last week, and I'm listening to this random AM radio station in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia. And because I like to hear people talk, I don't listen to the radio to listen to music. I listen to the radio to hear people talk to me. I always have, ever since I was little. Going down the road, listening to this AM radio station, and this guy says, "And now for the news." I laughed so hard because, and I know Paul Harvey said, for years, but that's what Tom says.
Right.
And so then I had to call him. Then I had to call him.
It was 2:30 in the morning, but
it
no.
was not 2:30 in the morning. I waited till at least 8, I think. But
If you're in the
anyway.
middle of nowhere, West Virginia at 2:30 in the morning.
I will tell you.
I hope your doors are locked.
We did get
was
started.
John Denver in the cassette tape?
I will tell you, at the first week of August, we were on vacation. We're actually at the beach house. So the first week of August, I will not be here for the podcast. I just want to let you know.
Oh, now you're going to tell us?
Program note.
Right here?
Oh, hey, I was about to tell you guys, I'm also not going to be here the first week of August. So that works out.
Okay, we're all
All
on
right.
vacation.
All right.
I just want to okay. So you sent me a couple of videos.
I did?
You did. And I thought it was
yes.
that's where we got the name of the show. More interesting to me.
I just
Yep.
turned yellow.
You have to turn it off. Turn the whole camera off.
There, what'd you do? Did you screw it up?
It's that camera. Just turn it all off and on.
While he's doing that, I will tell you that the senator in question is from Missouri. He's a Republican senator. His name is Josh Hawley, and he is one of the major conservatives to come under attack by the liberal left.
He's a Trump guy.
They just want him to go away. They want Josh Hawley to go away so bad. The liberal left can't stand it. I love this guy in Missouri. He is great, and he doesn't care. I mean, he says shit. He just does. He doesn't care, and I think maybe that's why I like him so much. Is that he just doesn't care.
He would fit in on this podcast.
Well, it is the show me state, Kimberlina.
That's where I was born and raised. Woo woo. All right. So more interesting to me, there is is she a Berkeley law professor, as in Berkeley College out of California, possibly the most liberal college you could ever go to, right?
Communist comes to mind.
Right. I mean, you said something earlier about the Russia, right? If the communism.
Well, yeah, I figured that, perhaps maybe only Joseph Stalin would be more communist than a law professor out of Berkeley. And that, that's touch and it's touch and go.
That's saying something there.
It would be a battle.
So this law professor, her name is Kiara Bridge, and she was on a Senate panel getting questioned about, I don't know, whatever mental wokeness, mental illness that we're discussing today. I don't really know. But I want you to listen to the two sets of dialogue and questions from these senators to this law professor out of Berkeley. And I think we have both of those.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic.
What?
And it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm
is
denying that
dangerous.
trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you are
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you? Or are they
Absolutely.
also treated like this? Where
No,
they're
they're
told
allowed
that
to
they're
question.
opening up people to
Oh,
violence?
We have a good
by
time in my
questioning.
class. You should join.
I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
That's shocking.
Okay. All right.
Here's the good thing.
I
though.
don't even know what to say about that.
Here's the good thing, though, is she just exposed the entire movement for what it is. So just a few short months ago, it was asking prospective Supreme Court justices whether they can define a woman.
I think we have that too.
And we thought that
I think I've got the clip of that. Did you get that?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
no.
Can I provide a definition?
Mhm.
No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't.
I'm so glad you had that because this
course
is exactly where I'm going.
Okay.
This context,
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of
She's not
So
a
she-
biologist, but she's a Supreme Court justice.
But you know what? So she couldn't, and that was what, 3 months ago?
2 months ago.
2 months ago. Now a Supreme Court justice of the United States of America,
That's correct.
under oath,
Yes.
at a hearing,
Yes.
could not define what a woman is.
Correct.
And we thought that was shocking, funny, bizarre, weird, strange. I'm not sure, communist. I don't know what we thought of it. But now,
we thought it was crazy.
but
We
now
thought it was crazy AF.
the Berkeley, the Berkeley law professor,
Yeah.
she's learned a lot. I got to give her credit. She's learned a lot because she wasn't going to fall into the same trap.
Right.
So now what she did was, if you listen very carefully at the very beginning part of the question and answer, the first thing she does is carefully renames a woman to a cis woman,
That's correct.
right? Because now what she's saying is they're really, in their view, in the world view of one Supreme Court justice of the United States of America
Mhm.
and a law professor at Berkeley,
Berkeley.
their view of the world, their biological, scientific, #science view of the world is there is no such thing as a man and a woman. There are people who identify. In other words, you self-identify. You get to pick who you are and what you are.
Yes.
There is no science. There's no biology. There's no physics. There's no chemistry. There's no earth science anymore. There's no, what rock is the hardest? Is
That's
it the
offensive.
quartz or the diamond?
That's offensive.
Yeah, because a diamond will be offended that the quartz is harder
It's
or
offensive.
whatever, sometimes. Anyway, but
Triggered by that.
yeah. So she says we have cis women.
Yeah.
You have to be a cis woman. You have to, it's not what you are biologically. It's not what you're physically, scientifically born as. It's whatever you say you are.
He asked her a question. He simply said, do you think women are the only ones that can get pregnant? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Women are the only ones that can get pregnant. Me having sex with either one of you will not get you pregnant.
Really?
I'm not sure where to go from there.
Do you know what's the whole disturbing part of this whole segment?
I can't get you pregnant if I wanted to. Even if
Right.
I wanted to. Not even Austin could I get him pregnant. I don't take. I'm not. I hope I'm not
Wow.
triggered.
Do you want to know the disturbing part of this
I'm
whole
harassing
conversation?
Everyone in this room.
Kimberlina,
Just saying.
because of this show and because of Jose's show
Yeah.
through the We the People podcast network,
Yes.
I actually understood every word she was saying. Because
this is an educational show.
Because
That's what we do.
if I would have listened to that commentary 4 months ago, I'd have been,
Yeah,
what
but
is
what-
she even talking
what is she
about?
saying?
She might
What
as
is
well she might as well be speaking French.
Have no idea. So
Well, hold on, Kimberly. We have to clarify something here because
we do.
as
Which part?
as the law professor,
Right?
well, let's clarify first that
Yeah, that I'm over here
that
and
you're
you're
not
over there.
that you're not going to be trying to get me pregnant.
Not today. not today
So
or tomorrow.
what you just did was
so
exactly
you're saying there's a chance.
exactly what the law professor just said, and you're opening up anyone that's in the room right now that might be transgender
Uh-huh.
or they don't know what they are. You're opening them up to violence because you refuse to acknowledge, as Robert Winston, a pioneer of in vitro fertilization, you refuse to acknowledge that what he established, and that is that male pregnancy would certainly and is certainly possible by having an embryo implanted in a man's abdomen with the placenta attached to an internal organ such as the bowel and later delivered surgically. So now we have
like
to
a
ask.
C-section.
So now we have to ask, well, then what is a pregnancy, right? And that was the line of questioning that led the Supreme Court justice into trouble because they systematically
But
took
where
her
are they-
back to the baseline of, well, what's a woman? Can
Where
you
are they
even
getting
define
the
what a
embryo?
woman is?
Where are they getting the embryo though? They're not growing them. You can't grow them, right? You can't grow them as you have to have the embryo
great
from
point.
a woman. Therefore, a woman is the only one that can get pregnant or assist in someone else getting, and I'm not even a freaking scientist, and I know this. You have to be a woman to create an embryo.
I think Hunter can get some for you.
I saw him. We'll get to that. We do have the video today of Hunter jacking it in the swimming pool. Yeah. Let's play the other Berkeley law professor.
Right.
She's being questioned by a different senator this time. It's equally
do
entertaining.
you think a baby that is delivered alive has value?
Yes.
Do you think that a baby that is not yet born has value?
I believe that a person with a capacity for pregnancy has value. They have intelligence. They have agency. They have
I'm talking about
dignity.
the baby.
So the answer
And
is
I'm
no.
talking about the person with the capacity for
And
pregnancy.
you're not answering the question. I'm asking.
I'm answering a more interesting question to me.
You think that the baby that is not yet born?
Can we
let's
stop
say the
this for a second? I'm answering a more interesting question to me.
You dumbass.
Yeah. So the answer is no. The answer is the question was: is a baby that's getting ready to be born, does it have value? And because the answer is not yes, she had to change the question.
You can't change
Just
the
say
question.
yes or no.
The question is the question.
Yeah.
You don't get to ask the questions. You don't get to change the questions. An officer pulls her over, and the officer says to her, Miss Kiara, do you know why I pulled you over? I think I'm going to Sonic. That's not the question I asked you. I mean, you can't just pull your own questions out of a question someone asked you. You can't. I mean, say a professor gives you an assignment and says to Kiara, this isn't the assignment. Well, I decided to do an assignment more interesting to me.
Yeah.
No, you don't get to change the rules like that.
Would one of her students be able to do that in her
No,
class?
no.
Is kind of your point.
No. Can we play that again from the beginning?
And do you think a baby that is delivered alive has value?
Yes.
Why'd you have to think about
Do you
that?
think that a baby that is not yet born has value?
I believe that a person with a capacity for pregnancy has value. They have intelligence. They have agency. They have
I'm talking about
dignity.
the baby.
And I'm talking about the person with the capacity for
And
pregnancy.
you're not answering the question. I'm asking.
I'm answering a more interesting question to
Do you
me.
think that the baby that is not yet born, let's say the day before this mother delivers, do you think that baby has value?
I think that the person with the capacity for pregnancy has value, and they should have the ability to control what happens to their lives.
Well, and do you
Okay. I'm answering a more interesting question to me. So I would just ask her, if she were pregnant today, would that baby be important to her if she gave birth tomorrow? I want to know.
She would say her life is important, apparently.
If
But that would be another way to frame it. That would be a great way to frame it.
If you were
Put it in real terms.
If you were pregnant yesterday, Miss Kiara, would that baby be important?
She can't answer. She has a more interesting question to answer. It's crazy.
Of all the narcissistic, all about me thought process, that does boil down what the left is really all about.
It exposes the entire pro-abortion movement, quite frankly, because, on one hand, many people that are so-called pro-choice can argue that, well, what about the 12-year-old girl who's raped by her uncle? Okay, let's talk about that 0.00002% chance that that's going to happen. All right, fine.
Right.
Let's have an intellectual discussion about a good moral, right?
Mhm.
That gets down to morals
Mhm.
on what should happen, right? And whether or not that girl should have to have that baby. That's just a great, good moralistic discussion to have. But that's literally a grain of sand on
It
a
is.
beach as far as what she's talking about is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And that is on this topic of abortion. What she's talking about is she can't even say the words
Right.
that a baby that's getting ready to be born in New York State actually has value.
Right.
She can't say it.
No.
Why can't she say that?
She doesn't want to because it doesn't.
Well, why does it cost so much
She's the
damn
spawn
money
of the
to have
devil.
a kid?
That's why.
Why does it cost so much damn money at the hospital to have a kid if it doesn't even exist?
Well, that's a good point. All those prenatal visits.
Right. So,
Right? They charged me every time I went in for an ultrasound.
so the clock shouldn't start running
Until the baby is born.
born.
They shouldn't charge me for all those ultrasounds
Right.
to see.
Way to play right into their hands, Tom.
Right? I just thought
The
she
whole
was
thing is
interesting
stupid. We all agree, right? Stupid.
because she didn't want to answer the question. She wanted the questions to be what she wanted. And again, you're right. Does she accept that in her own class?
No.
In her law class that she teaches at Berkeley, which I mean is a pretty good college. I think we have to admit, if you want your kids to, to have their brain turned into liberal mush.
Well, they probably already there before they get there, though, right?
Well, I would.
If you're a senior in high school and you're going to Berkeley, I think you're in the club already.
Yeah, well, you might. You might.
She sounded like an immature 12-year-old brat as well. In a minute, I think we have a video clip of another senator and another witness that would otherwise appear to be a spoof, except it's not much different, really.
Can we play the TikTok?
It's not much
You
different.
referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can
it's a what?
recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
Because of my line of questioning?
She's a genius.
You see how absurd
Yeah.
the whole thing
Yeah.
is. It's honestly, these are mentally ill individuals. Can we agree on that?
I think so.
These people are mentally, the Supreme Court justice who can we play her? She can't figure out what a woman is, even though she is one, maybe. I don't know.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Pause.
Can I provide a definition?
Mhm.
No,
Restate it.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
No,
She should have went with
mentally
the cis. She should have
ill.
sent with the cis comment.
Mentally
well,
ill.
that's my point. She
Mentally,
can't.
something's wrong.
She can't define it because, as the Berkeley professor said, it doesn't exist. There isn't a woman.
Right.
There's cis.
There's
woman.
no more women.
There isn't a woman and there isn't a man.
Right. Let me ask
What's right
you,
is wrong and what's wrong is right.
do men bleed every month? Would
That's
that,
a loaded question.
would that be something that women
Kimberlina,
do? I just
do my tears count as blood?
yes.
My wife goes to
It's a
Wegmans
trail of
every day.
tears. Does that make you you bleed cash right out your backside? That's what you do. No, I just
That
We know
that
what a woman
Amazon
is.
Prime truck pulls in the driveway every day.
why are people so fucking crazy? A woman is a woman with a vagina and bleeds every month. That's what we know. That's what we know from the beginning of time, guys. Not going to change it. None of your woke mental illness rhetoric is going to change that. And it's evil to try to do that. You can think whatever nutty thoughts you want.
You just said woke. It just reminded me of a random thought that I had driving down the road yesterday.
Yes.
And
I
it-
love your random thoughts.
Right? Random thought. Random
Please-
thought of the.
Please
of the day.
digress.
This portion of Chad's random thought is sponsored by
Taylor Heating and Cooling, Precision Lawn and Garden, and Express Sealers.
I'm glad you used all three.
Yes,
I don't want
of
any one
course.
of them to be offended.
I know. We love all of our sponsors, and now Chad's random thought
See, now I thought I randomly forgot what my random thought was.
about woke.
Wokeness. About
Yes,
wokeness.
Driving down the road the other day, your random thought.
Yeah. So the self-declared woke crowd,
Mhm.
they elected an 80-year-old white man who used to ride around with the leaders of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
The woke people.
Yes.
The woke progressives elected an old white guy who's a racist.
Well, you got to
Does that
understand
make sense?
who really founded the KKK were the Democrats.
Yeah. No,
I mean, do
that
your homework.
That wasn't really random at all.
It's not
Chad.
a
But they fashion themselves as being woke and progressive.
I get it.
Why didn't they elect Bernie? Why didn't they elect AOC? Why didn't they elect
You would
this
think.
communist law professor?
You would have think, but well, Bernie was their guy, right?
I know. They
Bernie
stole-
was their guy,
they
and
stole the election.
and the mainstream took it from him.
Yeah.
Bernie should be president right now.
Oh, Lord, help us all. With
yeah.
Your fair share, your fair share,
Yeah.
everybody's fair share. Speaking of the Bidens,
Except for the baby.
I wanna show you that man, the economy is gangbusters, guys.
Yeah,
The
inflation's at another 41-year high.
economy is gangbusters. Look at that.
$22 for lunch today at Core Life. One meal, one drink. $22.
I stopped
22
at
bucks.
Bill. I stopped
Are you
at Bill
serious?
Gray's.
Dead serious.
I stopped at Bill Gray's to pick up my daughter lunch. $20 for a cheeseburger. I don't even know what it was.
Onion rings and a drink.
Hush puppies. Do you still call them hush puppies? What
I
are they
love
called?
hush puppies.
And a milkshake was $20.
Yeah.
$20. I
Infla-
was like, "Where's the change?" I was going to give him a tip.
inflation soared 9.1%
In June.
in
right?
June. The biggest 12-month increase on record since 1981 when Chad was 7. Were you 7?
I love it.
Yeah.
I've rubbed 1974 in your face so many times. I'm glad
Chad
that you
was-
could utilize that statistic.
Chad was 7.
That's correct.
So just in your mind, and I was a year before driving.
Well,
so I was 15.
To be fair, he would be 8 now because his birthday's in
Whatever.
June.
So, but yeah, so that's where we are. So I would be 15, you would be 7,
I'd be like 40.
and you would have been 16. So, and so look at everything that's gone up. Meat and poultry, 10%. Has your salary gone up 10%? Used cars are up 7%. Cars, guys,
Well,
are,
it's a
are
good thing
stupid.
I've given up fruit and vegetables.
Cars now are twice as high as my first house that I bought. It's a crazy thing. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's where we are. Is he worried about it? Is he concerned about it?
No, why would he be?
He doesn't even know what day it is.
No.
He's got
he-
the Tom Cruise Maverick aviators on.
He thought the Florida shooting that happened in 2018 happened in 1918.
Yeah.
You heard that yesterday,
I
right?
did. I heard that.
If you don't believe us, go back and listen to Biden's speech from yesterday that he said that the Parkland shooting in Florida that happened in 2018 happened in 1918. He was 100 years off.
Did you guys cover where he read the speech and he read the lines in the middle of the teleprompter that told
Stop
him
reading here. or
stop
whatever.
and repeat and
He's like, all of a sudden,
repeat and say louder?
it's like Anchorman.
Did you guys
Yeah.
play that?
No, I
No.
didn't play it. I didn't have it. But it's like
That's cool.
Anchorman, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
a real life
Go
Anchorman.
after yourself, San Diego.
Go after right.
What? Everybody knows Ron will read whatever's on the teleprompter.
I told you yesterday we'd have the little snippet. You know, he's too worried. I guess maybe Biden, instead of worrying about the economy and worrying about the fact, and by the way, he says those are skewed numbers, that they haven't recalculated the numbers. That's his excuse. That the economists,
They're cis numbers.
that the economists have not recalculated the numbers so that the 9.1 inflation rate in June is wrong, he says.
What is it, 8.9?
It's wrong, he says.
Just to be clear, cis numbers mean that they're actually the real numbers.
But by the
right?
way, they
No.
say gas is going down, but I just paid yesterday afternoon at a Crosby's $4.79. So gas here in this area has
Right.
not gone down. Hasn't
No,
not measurably.
increased.
it's New York.
So again, this is just another one of his, excuses. It's ridiculous. But let me show you something that he probably is actually worried about more than the economy. And we mentioned this yesterday, that we know the laptop deal from Hunter Biden is a thing. And although none of the major media outlets covered it. And really, I don't think any major news outlets covered Mrs. Biden yesterday calling Hispanics tacos.
Oh my gosh. I
If
saw
this
that
was
too.
Melania, it'd be on the 24-hour spin. You
Could
know
you
that,
imagine?
right?
Well,
It'd be
they
on the
were
24-hour spin.
breakfast tacos, so
Oh, breakfast tacos. Right.
It's okay if you call them breakfast tacos.
I guess so. But none of the media handled that. Did you hear any major media?
Not a peep.
Not a peep calling them breakfast tacos.
And how she said
bodega.
Bodegas.
Bodegas. We don't know what a bodega is, but I hear it's beautiful.
They can't even culturally appropriate the right way.
They have no idea. So Hunter Biden's phone was hacked.
Kids, cover your eyes.
Over the weekend, or
Chad, you got your broken pencil?
Or maybe late last week. So I do believe it was Hunter Biden's. And so they hacked into the iCloud, and they're releasing something every day. And you're asking me who they are? I don't know who they are. I have no idea who they are. But this idiot allowed his phone to be used to take videos.
He tapes everything.
Yes. He's worse than a 13-year-old girl. Everything's on, the pictures on, the selfies. I got to get this, got to get that, got to do that, got to get everything. So here's Hunter Biden.
I get myself smoking crack.
Enjoying himself a little swimming pool slide.
Do we need a disclaimer?
Nope.
Oh boy.
That's the hooker in the background.
It's a nice slide.
The hooker is laughing.
Do hookers have to be women now or no? Why is that even funny?
Yeah. Control it, man. Crazy.
You know what that alert was? I just got a notification on my phone. It said a presidential alert, just a emergency thing alert. I don't know. It was
sounds like the
emergency
law professor.
something
What?
text.
On your phone?
Perfect.
That's what it said. I just came
On
up.
your phone.
I'm
That's what it
sorry,
said.
Mom.
You don't have any signal.
He's
That's
whacking
what
it.
told me.
I know, but you don't have.
Holy cow! I hadn't seen that part. Wow.
Prostitution charges for transporting hookers across state lines and disguising checks to them as payments for medical services. According to the Daily Mail that just came out with this story this morning, documents, texts, and videos obtained by the Daily Mail show that Hunter Biden spent a staggering $30,000 on escorts in a 5-month period. That was one of them right there that you heard in the background. Hunter wrote checks to a Ukrainian woman who was named in red flag reports by banks as suspicious activity. Ukrainian woman. That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like that so-called Russian-Ukrainian war going on.
Photos from Hunter's iPhone show he wrote checks disguised as medical services to prostitutes provided by this Ukrainian woman to him. And her website describes a girlfriend experience. Know what I mean? There are also video and pictures that show Hunter transporting these women from Boston to New York across state lines, which is a potential federal offense. Why isn't this story front and center on
What's the
every
time
media
frame?
outlet?
Do we know the time frame when this allegedly occurred?
I think it did say it was a 5-month period, blah, 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 blah. The material has been in the FBI's hands since December of 2019.
It's taken them that long to shred it?
Apparently. But some of these hookers were as young as 20. And the FBI has had this information since 2019.
Once it's on the internet, it's there forever, right?
It is there forever. That is never going away.
So in 2097, when somebody's watching this show, it'll be like time capsule.
It will be. It'll be right. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is just so gross. He's sliding down the slide. He's naked. He's sitting there fondling himself the whole time. And no one is talking about this. No one. And by the way, what connection did this Ukrainian woman and what part did she play in the whole mess of, because he had relations, there were funds. I mean, come on, guys. There is something seriously messed up going on.
Oh, he's big time into the deep state in Ukraine. He was on boards and, tens of millions, billions of dollars being transported back and forth. Now the United States, under the direction of Joe Biden, has transferred upwards of $50 billion to Ukraine.
Right.
So that the 30,000 that he gave the, the
It's like
Ukrainian
peanuts.
hookers, what's that?
It's
That fell out of the plane, the cargo plane, as it was dropping the other 58 billion.
you're probably right.
I mean, what a joke this all is.
I know, isn't it? And disgusting.
What a joke.
And this is, you think this guy is not a national security risk?
No, not
Hunter
at all.
Biden?
No, the president's only remaining son. No, not at all.
I mean, it's just awful. Since we're in
control.
Ukraine, do you want to go over to Russia just for a second?
Let's go to Russia.
We like the Russians. Yet, no. It's the only thing I know.
I watched Rocky IV this weekend.
Oh, is that the one with the Russian dude in it?
Ivan Drago.
Oh, very good.
Do you have a little Russian in you, Kimberlina?
I do not. I've never known a little Russian. So I gotta say no.
So
My wife can speak a
where
little Russian.
where does your mutt pedigree come from?
It's called you a mutt.
Ireland, Scotland,
Oh, okay.
and everywhere in between, probably, but that's the basis.
A little bit from Missouri.
I don't play basketball.
There's not much in between Ireland and Scotland.
I know. I think it's just right there. I mean,
Couple
England is
pot
close.
bunkers.
But Irish and Scottish and just a mutt. But I will say that I don't. Brittany Griner. Do you guys all know who Brittany Griner is? She's a female
Yeah.
basketball player.
She's really tall.
She's really very tall and pretty athletic, and she's got a wife.
She went to Baylor.
Is she a woman or?
She is a woman. I don't know if you'd
Well,
ask her if she's a woman. I don't know if she.
I think she's
would
probably
tell
a
you she's a
bi
woman.
woman, Chad.
Gotcha.
She's married. She has a wife.
Oh, that makes her a lesbian.
Yes. So she is a very good basketball player. When she went to Russia, she was very stupid. And she decided, as Judge Judy would say, you're stupid.
You broke the law.
My mother watches Judge Judy.
She's still on?
She is. And she
Yeah, she's on at 4
she
o'clock every
talks
Wednesdays.
No, she's on at 4 o'clock every day.
So wait, who's she watching right now? Judge Judy or us?
No, my mom doesn't. No, my mom doesn't watch us.
That's
no,
good.
she gets enough of me on a daily basis.
bet.
But so Brittany Griner plays basketball. Like a lot of these NBA players or WNBA players, they go overseas and they have the propensity to make a lot of money.
CWNBA.
What is it?
CWNBA.
Is it CWNBA?
Yeah.
I don't.
Cis women.
I have no idea.
National
You're making that
Basketball
up.
Association.
So I think she played for Phoenix, and she got caught in Russia with vials of marijuana oil, THC oil, which is illegal in Russia. Now, let me just tell you, the legal system doesn't work out in Russia like it does in the United States.
They don't have bail reform there.
They don't. And they don't have appearance tickets where it doesn't matter if you show up or not. And because you're a big superstar, they let you go or they grant you, whatever. In Russia, they're going to put you in jail. And they did, over a couple of vials of THC oil. Now, are they doing this more of as a, kind of putting the screws?
Political statement to the
Yeah,
United
yeah,
States?
Absolutely. Should she be in jail? No. But are they doing it because, they got a leg up now? 100%. That's how Putin rolls. And he knows it. So she's in jail because she brought vials of THC oil. She pleaded guilty. They had a trial. She's been in jail for like 108 days. And LeBron James, and by the way, Brittany Griner in 2020 started kneeling during the national anthem at all the WNBA games. She started kneeling as a protest, like we saw so many other athletes do, right?
Well, when she gets back, she'll get the Medal of Freedom, just like
Probably.
And she said, and I
the soccer
quote,
player.
in 2020, this was, and again, she was playing for Phoenix Mercury, the WNBA team, said that the WNBA should stop playing the anthem. I honestly feel that we shouldn't be playing it at all during our season. This is what she told the Arizona Republic, which is a newspaper. I think we should take that much of a stand. I'm going to protest regardless. I'm going to be out there kneeling for the national anthem because the national anthem does not represent Black people.
Well, she should be happy in Russia then, right?
She should be.
She doesn't have to listen to the national anthem anymore.
I know.
She doesn't have to worry about, bigoted America.
Isn't that perfect?
And all the bigotry that the flag stands for and the national anthem stands for. She's in good company now.
So LeBron James.
Congratulations, Brittany.
Because I guess
Don't ever fucking come back.
he's also a Black basketball player. So he wants to comment on this, which is fine. He's got a, what has he got?
A platform.
A show. A show. He's got a podcast. I don't know what he has.
Got
The
9
latest,
followers.
It's called The Shop. That is what his show is called. And this is LeBron James talking about Brittany Griner being held in Russia for having vials of THC oil, which again is clearly illegal in Russia. She admitted it during the trial, and she could face 10 years. I don't know what the sentence will be, but here's LeBron and his genius take.
White people are collecting black art. Have you had to explain that ever to collectors?
It's not the responsibility of black folks to use their work as a teaching tool.
Brittany Griner, she is in Russia. She's been there
over 110 days. Now, how can she feel like America has her back? I would be feeling like, do I even want to go back to America?
I'm not saying you got to be twice as good to get half as much. I always didn't like that saying. So I said, I just want to be twice as good because I want to be twice as good.
As a forward, you take risks.
Did he say, can we roll that back to
Was
Brittany
Jose
Griner?
Pio on that podcast?
Yeah, no, can we roll that back just a real quick second?
Responsibility of black folks to use their work as a teaching tool.
Brittany Griner, she is in Russia. She's been there
over 110 days. Now, how can she feel like America has her back? I would be feeling like, do I even want to go back to America?
No, not.
Then don't.
Then don't. Stay there.
What is his effing point?
His point
He's
is
a moron.
America isn't doing whatever they can to get Brittany Griner out. Brittany Griner, who kneeled during the national anthem and hates America. Hates America.
You know what he
hates America.
Well,
Thinks
don't we
that-
have a bunch of prisoners in Guantanamo Bay still that we can let out for her? I mean, isn't that what we normally do?
Why doesn't LeBron James do himself a favor? Shut his pie hole and go watch the movie Behind Enemy Lines. Have you guys seen the movie Behind Enemy Lines?
It's been years. It's been years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it had to do with the Bosnia Herzegovina.
Oh, okay.
When the two U.S. pilots, they were doing a recon mission on Christmas Eve.
Yes. Yes.
Almost as a punishment because the one pilot had pissed off his senior command because he was planning on getting out of the military, and they were pissed at him. So more or less as a punishment, they made him go fly recon on Christmas Eve. And they crossed over into enemy lines. Their plane was shot down by a surface-to-air missile, and one of them was basically immediately captured and murdered, while the other one was watching from a distance. All right? One soldier remaining. He spends about 9 days on foot. He makes it to 2 or 3 different pickup locations, but U.S. senior command back in D.C. ordered a stand down 2 different times as far as his recovery. And I'm not going to pretend to know what those reasons were, but they were obviously political reasons or military strategy reasons. They left him behind enemy lines. There are reasons why we don't go rescue an actual U.S. pilot who is under direct threat of he's about to be murdered.
Right.
And we're supposed to give a shit about a basketball player who broke the law?
Right.
And that's a reason to not come back to the United States? Do you think that pilot wanted to come back to the United States? I don't know. But why does LeBron have to frame it like that? It's so stupid and illogical.
Well, of course, he's backtracking on the comments now. And he says, quote, "I was simply saying how she's probably feeling emotionally." Yeah, maybe she's thinking, I'm never going to kneel again. When I get back to the United States of America, if I do,
I'll pledge allegiance
to the flag every single day, and I'll get down on my knees.
I pledge allegiance to bail
the
reform.
ground of this country. But she won't.
No.
You know she won't. Will they keep her in jail for 10 years? They could. I mean, I don't know. It's freaking Russia.
Well, how many Americans are still in Afghanistan that they left there?
Yeah, that's a great point. Biden left them all behind on the tarmac.
He did.
Those were white people.
Yes.
You know? There were black people too, but I heard I don't know if it was a sportscaster or somebody on MSNBC or CNN, and of course they played the race card with this. They threw the Tom Brady equivalents out. Well, if this was Tom Brady, if it was Tom Brady, what? First off, if Tom Brady broke the law in Russia, you better damn well believe that Russia would have treated him the same exact way.
Oh, absolutely. Were they saying
the exact same way?
Because he's a white male, he'd already be back in the States by now?
Exactly.
Come on.
As if the United...
No, I don't believe that. Yeah. I don't believe that at all.
The only thing that might be different, the only thing that might be different would be the media, who, of course, are the racists,
Sure.
the media would definitely be covering and putting more pressure on a release of a Tom Brady, right?
Right.
They would be covering this. I mean, Brittany Griner's been in the media, but it's kind of like snippets and it only just got going. So if that was Tom Brady, it would be nightly news, morning news every day, right? So this so-called woke media who is all about the little guy and the African American and this, that, and the other, they don't care about Brittany Griner. They don't care. They just care about making money.
Well, they certainly don't care.
If Trump was still president, she'd be home by now.
Would she?
That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I think so.
She could be.
She would be.
I mean, I don't
if he
know.
was still president.
Should she be in prison in the first place? She had
Because
vials of THC.
We have weak leadership here.
Very weak
Big time.
leadership.
Big time.
100%. And Putin knows it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's playing
Why do you
it.
think he started a war?
He's playing it big time. And it's working out for him.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Yeah, he's the bully right now, and everywhere he pushes, he keeps pushing. Nobody's pushing back.
Yeah. I want to let you know that Starbucks is closing 16 locations because it's too dangerous
Here?
in some of the cities. You want to take a guess where some of the cities are that they're closing a multitude
Portland,
of locations?
Oregon,
Bing.
Seattle, Washington,
Yes.
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago's not on my
Los Angeles,
list. Philly.
Baltimore.
Baltimore's on the list.
Rochester.
So Starbucks, I mean, yesterday we had
Atlanta.
5 shootings, guys. Was it yesterday?
In Rochester?
Yesterday, I think. Yesterday we had 5 shootings. 5.
That we know of.
2 in the afternoon and 3 in the early morning hours. 1 was a carjacking. 5 shootings yesterday. Have you heard a whole lot about that?
only from you.
5 shootings.
You only hear about mass shootings when it's an 18 to 20-year-old white male with an assault rifle.
Well, let's get into that a little bit before we leave our Kimberly's Revolution podcast for the day. There's more video that has come forward, that's come out on Uvalde, Texas, where 19 children and 2 teachers were left to die in classrooms when this shooter made his way into the Uvalde Elementary School. Because, Tom, wasn't it someone propped the door open? Isn't that what happened in Uvalde?
That's what I've heard.
Someone propped the door open and it gave this evil demon a way into the school with his gun after he crashed his truck. Was that going to be his location he was going to? I will never know. But it just so happened he crashed his truck and there's the elementary school. So this video has been obtained by the Austin American Statesman. That's a newspaper. And it shows how police officers were dallying in the hallway of Robb Elementary School and in fact running when they hear shots being fired. And I don't mean running into the classroom. Obviously, we know that didn't happen, but running away from where this lone shooter was. Heavily armed officers are seen in this video walking around in the hallway, leaving, coming back, making calls, looking at their cell phone, and using a hand sanitizer dispenser that was on the wall. All while these children, and I got to say, before we play the video, and okay, so there's the officer looking at his phone. And I will tell you that many police officers, their radios are so horrible, they're shit. The radios that they use they do a lot of their conversations about who's responding to what on their cell phone. I know that for a fact. I know it because my daughter is a police officer and she uses her cell phone to communicate with other officers that are on the same shift as she is working about specific response times and, okay, are you going here? Are you going there? Whatever.
Well, that's interesting from a subpoena point of view because it's not on the dispatch, right?
It is not. But I will tell you, a lot of officers, now I don't know what he's doing there, but apparently he's got some kind of a...
Looks like he's shooting his phone.
Maybe he's pointing his gun at somebody on FaceTime.
He's got a...
I'm going to get you.
What do they call it? The Punisher screensaver. The Punisher, which is
Really
a Marvel character.
You can make that out.
Someone else did. The Austin American-Statesman was able to zoom in, and he's got the Punisher as his.
We don't have that type of technology
as his
here,
lock
Kimberly,
screen.
no.
Austin's trying to look to see if the Punisher is on there. It
Maybe
is.
if you get closer.
And again, I don't know what this officer was doing. Was he communicating with other officers outside the building? He
Yeah.
may well have been. I want to show this video, though, of what's going on in the hallway as those children were murdered.
Horrific.
This new video.
Is that the shooter going in?
That's the shooter.
That's crazy. I think I'm going to be sick.
Here's a kid that realizes what's going on. And he's like, oh, hell no. And he runs. So here. They should be running into the room. They're not. They ran away as the shooting was going on.
There's a lot wrong with what I just saw. I don't.
You want to?
A couple disconnects.
Where would you
too.
like to start?
First off, was that was cut up, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It was cut up.
And I said this. I don't know if I said this on my show or I think we talked about this maybe a couple weeks ago when we watched that first video. You know, we don't know at what point the shooting by the suspect, by the murderer, had already been completed versus when those officers are in a position where they could have even done anything.
Here's the guy using the hand sanitizer on the side on the wall. You're using hand sanitizer and children are being murdered?
Yeah, but when were they murdered?
Fuck, dude. I mean, I don't even know, but seriously.
Everything, look, in this day and age where we're able to Monday morning quarterback, the optics of things are sometimes literally
No,
the
I understand.
opposite of what actually went down.
If our children are in there, though, I don't want the cops running away. And we put our cops on a pedestal because they run into the gunfire, not away. It's like firefighters run into a burning building. It's got something wrong with them in the head.
Yeah, there's
mentally.
a reason why they take that job.
You take
I
the
can't
job.
do
You
that.
don't run away from the gunfire. If you know children in a room, I would think, as a police officer, I would run to try to save those children. As an officer of the law with a weapon, and one of them had a shield, they're all heavily armed. The door is unlocked. It was just a massive
At the end of
FUBAR
that
situation.
At the end of that video, I saw several officers who were standing there, and it didn't even look like they had firearms in their hands, and it looked like they had blue latex gloves on. What were they doing? Can
Don't
we watch
know.
the end of that video clip again?
Sure.
Can we fast forward to the end?
See, they're running. They're
Why-
running.
Look at this one guy at the bottom. He's got no firearm. He's got blue latex gloves on. The one that's holding his hands up. Look at this guy in the lower. There was several officers down in the lower left-hand corner of that screen who had no firearms in their hands, and it looked like they were doing this. They were, like they were going in for a proctology exam.
Don't know what they were doing. Have no idea.
I mean, I don't want to go completely.
They were the COVID enforcers, Chad.
Yeah. I don't want to go completely conspiratorial here, but what did we just watch?
A mess.
I mean,
Right.
Well, this is an hour and
is it
20
even
minutes
real?
after.
It's an hour and 20 minutes, so it is edited.
Yeah. So this part where the guy walks in, this is at 11:30, and then
77 minutes later,
So the
that's
kids
at
are dead.
12:50.
they don't know that.
But then why are if they're afraid
they
to
do.
take on fire,
If
why
you-
don't they even have their firearms out?
If you do watch this at some point, there is gunfire going off and they do run. They run back. You can watch it.
Yeah, he puts
the whole video.
The
yeah.
one officer puts up his hands because it appears that they hear gunfire. It appears that 5 or 6 officers want to charge forward. The other officer throws his hands up and says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" But then the officers that he's talking to, that he's holding back, it appears to me that several of them aren't even armed, or they're not. They don't have their firearms in their hands.
And
I don't know.
And we don't know what
guess, playing devil's advocate for the police officers here. They don't know if the guy has hostages, if the kids are alive, if any of the kids are alive in that room, they could be,
I agree.
at risk. So, it's
we don't know
easy
what
to say,
information.
oh, they should have run in and, but I think there are mitigating factors.
Yeah. I mean, it is a whole big mess, and more video keeps coming out, and it's just ugly.
You know what I do know, though?
It's just really bad.
What I do know, though, is that the loony progressive left is defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. But now, in the face of this video, they're complaining that the police didn't do enough. The police didn't do more.
Well,
reconcile those two things. Progressives, reconcile those two things.
and that's where we are.
They don't have to, Chad. It's the gun.
And that's where we are. All right, that's going to do it for Kimberly's Revolution. More interesting to me has been the name of the show. Want to thank all the Patriots for tuning in. Tell a friend. Subscribe on YouTube. It's free. You can do that. Subscribe on YouTube. You can like our podcast. You can leave me a note. I generally see most of the notes. And you can reach out to any of us here. Of course, our main game is real estate. So if you want to buy or sell, you can do that. And I think I told you guys today, between January of this year and July, I have sold over $2 million worth of homes to help people buy and sell.
Kimberlina, I would like to present you with this chip for your $2 million in sales. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's a coaster. Anyway, that's going to do it, of course, for Chad Hummel and Just Tom. I am Kimberly. Please tune in, tell a friend. And as always,
God bless. Be kind to others.
From attic to basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor. 500 help.